since almost 8 years ago, it'll be 8 years this coming April, was family and community. My blood related family, obviously, could not have gotten through it without them. But it goes beyond just the blood related family, it's the family that we choose. And that's where New Beginnings Motivation came from. It was born out of the grief of losing Joey, because the one thing that he taught me growing up was it's those that we choose to have around us that build us who we truly want to be. And something that I learned, and I was reflecting on this last night as I was vegging out in my recliner, and it didn't take that long. It took maybe about 10 or 15 minutes while I had the fireplace on downstairs, and I let my two dogs downstairs, and they were fighting over who was going to jump in my lap first. But I was kicking back and relaxing and reflecting on yesterday. And I started thinking about what encouraged me to go in the direction on creating this movement and building this mountain. And I went back into the moment of when I got the word that Joe passed away. I went in back to that night, and I went back into those emotions, those feelings. And then I fast forwarded about 2 or 3 weeks. And what I realized was it was born when I was at the Eating Recovery Center, because the way I dealt with Joe's death was I overate, because that was always how I dealt with stressful situations. And I remember sitting at the Eating Recovery Center here in Denver, Colorado, and I knew there was something that I had to do, because I didn't want to run away from the pain, even though it was massive. It was tearing me apart. Even though I had my wife at the time, I had my parents, I had my older cousin Missy, who has always been like a big sister to me. I knew if I tried to run away with it, I would never heal from it. And one thing I've discovered is I'd probably never heal from it, but I would learn how to live with it. But I wanted to create a space where others who have been through something similar could come and feel safe and be heard, and didn't feel like they had to go through it alone. Because after he passed away, the first Christmas, I remember telling my mother I would go back east for Christmas, because we did that for 20, 25 years. Because that's what we always did. We went back to my aunt and uncle's house because that's where my grandparents were. Because here in Colorado, the altitude was too high for my grandfather to come back to when he had his stage 4 mesothelioma cancer, the Parkinson's, and it was just too much for him to travel all the way out here. So we always went back there to see him. And I told her in April or May of 2018 that I'll go back east, and my wife and I would go. But as the holiday was coming up, my heart started to ache to a point that I broke my mother's own heart, because I told her I just couldn't do it. And at that time, I didn't think how selfish I was being, even though I knew I couldn't go back, because I couldn't face all those memories. I thought I was protecting myself. And, I don't think I've ever quite figured that out. But I knew I broke her heart because I didn't go back. And the year after, we did go back. But when I thought about it more, and I was sitting in the Eating Recovery Center that following year, thinking about how much I broke my mother's heart by not going back east for Christmas. And my brother was gone. I started thinking about others who have been through something similar like this for losing a brother. I've never lost a wife. I've never lost a parent. I've lost a grandparent, 2 of them, 3 of them. No, I'm sorry, 4 of them. I've lost friends. And all of those have broken my heart. And I remember sitting there, I have to do something. I've lost one of the most influential person in my life. The person that when life got difficult, I would always go to. When I attempted to try to take my life and I was in the ICU, the first person that I saw was him. That was the moment when all those memories came rushing through my head. When I was sitting there in the Eating Recovery Center, that was the moment that New Beginnings was born. That was the moment when I decided that I wasn't going to run away from the pain. I was going to face it head on. And that was because the one thing I learned many things from the Eating Recovery Center, but it was the ERP was the acronym that they taught us. And what that's called was the Exposure Risk Prevention Plan. And with that, what they used in that terminology was with a binge eating disorder, they would have me go and buy one of my binge foods. And I would go and buy 2 double whoppers with extra cheese and 2 original chicken sandwiches with extra cheese because I used to eat those 4 sandwiches in one sitting when I was stressed out. And they made me walk around the center in a 12-hour day for 1 week and not eat it. And I would eat the food that they would provide to help me get a handle on the binge eating. And then at the end of the day, they would have me throw away the food. So there's $20 a day, 7 days a week. I can't really do math. I think that's around 120, 140 bucks that I would throw away in that 1 week. And let me tell you, folks, I haven't binge eaten in over almost 8 years. So apparently it worked. And so when that helped me realize that when I did that, that helped me to realize that I can face any type of pain that came my way. Now, let me tell you, pain still does come and affect me. It gets into my head, it gets into my heart, and I allow it to come in, but I don't let it stay in. I sit with it for 15 to 20 minutes. An old friend of mine, Nathan Franks, always used to tell me, check in with yourself. Why are you thinking like this? What are you feeling? And I do that for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then when I pinpoint the problem, I'm like, okay. And then I kick it out. If I can't figure it out, I'll reach out to my inner circle, which Javi is one of those people in that inner circle. He and I talk about it. And then I say something silly. And then he raises his left eyebrow. And then we laugh about it. But the way I decided how I adapted, the way I was able to run away from the pain of losing my brother, I decided to face that empty chair. I didn't want to run from the ache. I brought it in. I sat with it like I do with that ERP. I let the punch come through my ribs. And I named it out loud. And every time the grief tried to bury me, I asked one question. How would Joe want me to live? That question became my compass. That first spark became the hope for my holiday again, just like it was with Henry and Alden in the pool. That was when I stopped pretending I was fine. And that's when I started letting people in. Javi can attest to this. I kept him at arm's length for a couple of years, maybe longer. And I did the same thing to Michael Faber. And there are days I kept questioning, why are these guys hanging out with me? Why are they so compassionate and understanding? And then I realized I don't have to heal alone. When I was finally man enough to drop those walls and become vulnerable, that's when our friendship and our brothership went deeper. I opened the door to brothers, to sisters, to mentors. We give each other so much crap. Like I call Sierra the feisty sister. And now apparently Megan and Deb. I give Lauren some crap every once in a while, but she's so kind and so patient. I have a very hard time to give her crap. But Lauren, one of these days, maybe I'll get a little bit more comfortable on giving you a hard time. But right now, I don't know if I can do that. I'll let Sierra do that because she's known you a lot longer. All of these amazing men and women became family. I admitted I was shattered, and instead of collapsing, this amazing summit became a community. And it became more than a community. It became a family. This is why this summit feels different. It's because it's built on truth. It's built on integrity. It's a saying that my father taught my brother and I. And I'm sure that his sister, my Auntie Nancy, learned from their father. Integrity is who you are when no one is looking. And I will admit, I used to hide who I was for a little while, but now, who you see in front of you today is exactly who you get. I turned my pain into purpose by serving someone else. I serve each and one of these amazing speakers, friends, family. I'll go to the ends of the earth to help them if they need it. The moment I realized my story wasn't just mine. I learned this from the greats who have spoken on this summit yesterday and today. Everything shifted. I started sharing a piece of my heart that was shut down. I was hogging Joey because he was my brother. He wasn't anybody else's. And someone whispered to me, don't hog him. He wasn't just your brother. He was someone's husband. He was someone's nephew. He was someone's cousin. He was someone's son. And when I did that, that's when the healing began. The moment I made space for someone else's brokenness. And that's when this summit became the base camp. This base camp is a sacred space where everybody can come in and feel safe. This mountain summit was born, and this is when this became the legacy in motion. That's when I created these rituals, the base camp, the legacy in motion that's allowing me to move forward. I didn't just want to move on. I moved with him. That's when the Bronco games meant more to me than ever before. That's when he used to say to me, this is more than just a Broncos game. These are our brothers' days. The Disney traditions that Javi and I did a couple years ago when he took me to Animal Kingdom on April 19th meant more to me than I think he understands, because there were so many years that my brother and I spent at Disney shaped me. And I was, instead of bawling my eyes out on that day that I used to do, and that there are people in my family that still cry on that day, the rituals on getting out of the house and going to create those traditions, those new traditions. It's important to get out and honor our loved ones. On the birthdays, on the anniversaries of the passing, on the anniversaries on getting that promotion, go out, honor the loved ones, to celebrate them. I built these rituals on the mountain in my home, in my heart, that kept his love alive while giving me permission to keep climbing. This whole movement is one giant ritual of remembrance. I built something bigger than grief. We talk about grief. And grief is hard. But we can live with it. We don't have to shut down. This is a place where hearts rise again. This summit is not a business plan. It's not a flashy event where you're going to get on stage and pound your chest and make your move and all that stuff. It's a place I needed my world to crack open. It's a space where people walk in hurting and walk out again. I built what I wished existed when I lost Joey. Instead of laying on that basement floor where every bone in my body was aching and screaming, when my whole family was broken, where I had to step up and to be the rock for the family. And in doing so, I found my footing, my purpose, my fight, my future. This summit was built for you. This summit is here to be a beacon of hope, that during the dark times, that if you need someone to lean on, that you can come and be here and be surrounded with a family that loves you without judgment. Martha mentioned that earlier when I asked that question. Her family is going through a challenging time right now. This summit is built to be loved and supported for anyone that wants to be a part of it. So if anybody wants or needs to lean on anyone, just know that the mountain will always be here, and it has been tested. And this mountain will never falter, will never be rattled, will never waver.